These are even more terrible jobs in Warhammer 40k. Number 6, Administratum Scribe. If you think paperwork is soul-crushing, try spending your entire life copying supply manifests by hand while knowing one decimal error could starve a planet. The Imperium spans a million worlds, and keeping track of everything requires endless documentation. Ships need manifests, planets owe tithes, that's taxes, wars need supply records. Someone has to write it all down, verify it, file it. That someone is an Administratum Scribe, and there are billions of them. The Imperium uses cogitators, basic computers for some tasks, but they don't fully trust machines after AI nearly destroyed humanity during the Age of Strife, a period of technological collapse thousands of years ago. So they maintain manual backups, scribes sitting at desks hand-copying documents, verifying data, transcribing reports endlessly. Here's how you become a scribe. You're born into it. The positions are hereditary. Your parent was a scribe, so you're a scribe, and your children will be scribes. You sit in vast archive halls with thousands of other scribes doing identical work. Copy the census, verify these coordinates, transcribe these assessments day after day. The scale is what breaks people. You're one of billions, knowing if you disappeared tomorrow, someone would take your desk by next shift. The real nightmare is the inefficiency combined with the weight of your mistakes. The Administratum is so vast that entire departments get lost, meaning offices continue obsolete tasks for thousands of years because nobody remembers to check if the work still matters. You might spend decades transcribing supply requests for a world that fell to aliens centuries ago, and nobody will ever tell you. On the other hand, your mistakes can also carry catastrophic weight. Wrong coordinates send rescue fleets to the wrong sector. Incorrect calculations cause famines, but the bureaucracy is so bloated that your error might not surface for decades, so you live with constant pressure and zero feedback on whether you're doing it right. The Inquisition occasionally purges entire departments for inefficiency, executing wings of scribes without checking who was actually incompetent. There is no retirement, no escape. You work until your body gives out, then the Administratum disposes of you and gives your desk to your child. Number 5. Corpse Starch Processor. Your job is handling human corpses that will become food for the living, and the social stigma makes you wish you were going into the grinder. Hive worlds are overpopulated nightmares, billions packed into city-sized towers with no room for farms. People die constantly from gang violence, accidents, disease, bodies pile up, can't waste protein when the living are starving, so the solution is corpse starch, recycling human remains into gray protein paste formed into ration bars. On Necromunda, the most infamous hive world, this work is controlled by the Mercator Pallidus Guild. You work for them handling remains, either collecting bodies or processing them in facilities that turn the dead into food. How do you end up here? Sometimes it's hereditary. Your family has worked corpse collection for generations. Sometimes it's punishment. You committed a crime and this is your sentence. Sometimes you're just desperate enough to take any paying work. The guild doesn't care which. You sign the contract or make your mark if you can't write, and now you're property of Mercator Pallidus. If you're on collection duty, you drive routes through the Underhive where bodies accumulate. Gang casualties, workers who fell, people who just stopped moving. You load them into carts and haul them back. The smell soaks into everything. No amount of washing removes it. Other hivers smell you coming from 50 meters away. The processing facilities have massive grinders designed to reduce remains to paste. The noise is constant, metal shrieking against bone, the air is thick with rendered fat and chemicals. You develop a cough that never leaves. But the physical toll isn't the worst part. The social stigma destroys you. In hive culture, where gang affiliation determines survival, being associated with corpse processing marks you as untouchable. Other hivers won't stand near you. Parents drag children away when you pass. You're feeding the entire hive, but everyone treats you like you're already dead. The psychological weight accumulates every shift. You're processing corpses, sometimes recognizing faces. Your neighbor, the kid from 2 levels down, knowing tomorrow you might be the one going into the grinder. Chaos cults find easy recruits here. When you handle death daily, whispers from the warp, that alternate dimension where demons exist, start sounding reasonable. Khorne, the chaos god of blood and murder, offers power to those drowning in death. Some workers think, I'm already handling corpses, why not create them? The line blurs fast. When the Arbites or Inquisition discover cult activity, they purge entire facilities without checking individual guild. The guild replaces everyone the next day. Number 4, Sanctioned Psyker. You're born able to touch the warp, which means you'll either die becoming a weapon for the Imperium, or die being one. Psykers are humans whose minds connect to the warp. This grants psychic powers, but also make you a demon magnet. Untrained Psykers are walking time bombs. Their powers attract warp predators, and one possessed Psyker can kill thousands. When your powers manifest, usually in childhood, the black ships come for you. These massive prison vessels collect Psykers from across the Imperium. There's no appeal. You're property now, thrown into hulls with hundreds of other terrified kids whose powers are going haywire. The journey to Terra takes months. Many don't survive, weak ones get possessed, strong ones lose control and have to be executed. On Terra, you face sorting. If you're too weak or unstable, you're sacrificed to the Golden Throne as fuel, literally fed to the Emperor to keep his corpse alive. About 1,000 Psykers burn out this way every day. If you're strong enough for training, you go to the Scholastia Psychana, where they teach you to control your powers without opening yourself to possession. The failure rate is high. Most die during trials, or get executed as too dangerous. Survivors get sanctioned, the Imperium Aquila burned into their flesh, as proof they're safe. Some become astropaths after soul binding. Most get assigned Imperial Guard regiments as psychic support. That's what you get. You use your powers to attack enemies, throw up protective barriers, divine enemy positions. Every time you channel warp energy, you risk possession because you're opening a door and something might push through. You feel demons constantly testing your defenses, whispering, probing for weakness. The regiment doesn't trust you. They call you witch, keep you separated, a commissar. That's an officer who executes soldiers for cowardice, shadows you with his bolt pistol ready. If you show any signs of possession, talking to yourself, eyes changing color, anything, he shoots you in the head. It's protocol because a possessed Psyker can slaughter entire companies before anyone stops it. The strain never stops. Channeling warp energy hurts, constant headaches, nosebleeds, muscle tremors. You're conditioned to push through the pain, but you're still human. Demons keep scratching at your mind, offering power if you just let them in. Combat against chaos makes it worse. Demons target Psykers specifically to eliminate threats or claim bodies. The warp gets more turbulent near chaos forces, making it harder to maintain control when you need it most. There is no retirement. You serve until enemy action, possession, or execution when you're deemed unstable. Most Sanctioned Psykers don't last long. Something always breaks. Your control, your mind, your body. Then you die, and another Psyker takes your place. The black ships never stop collecting. Number 3. Battlefield Salvage Worker. After the shooting stops, someone walks corpse fields recovering equipment while every step might trigger unexploded ordnance. The Imperium fights wars across thousands of planets simultaneously. Equipment is expensive, every laser gun represents significant investment. Dead soldiers don't need their gear, but living soldiers do. So various Imperial organizations employ or conscript workers to recover usable equipment from battlefields. How do you end up doing this? Sometimes you're a penal legionnaire pressed into dangerous labor as punishment. Sometimes you're a desperate local who needs to eat, and this is the only work available. Sometimes you're conscripted by quartermasters who need bodies for the job. However you got here, the work stays consistent. You're set onto corpse fields while bodies are still warm. Thousands of dead scattered in various states of dismemberment. Your job is recovering anything functional. Prying laser guns from death grips, stripping armor from corpses, collecting ammunition. The battlefield itself is trying to kill you. Unexploded ordnance litters the ground, artillery shells that fail to detonate, grenades dropped by dying soldiers, mines that didn't trigger. Every step is calculated risk. Most salvage workers die from ordnance, not enemies. Toxic chemicals coat everything. Weapon residue burns exposed skin. Promethium fuel pools in craters. You're giving minimal protection because proper gear costs more than your life. Battlefields where chaos forces fought add another horror. Where demons manifested, corruption lingers. Warp-tainted equipment can corrupt handlers. You might pick up a laser gun. That seems fine. Then over the next week, develop extra fingers or hear voices. By the time you realize you're mutating, it's too late for anything except execution. Even battles against Xenos leave dangers. Orcs playing dead. Tyrannid organisms burrowing into corpses. Necron warriors that reassemble when you're not looking. You're armed with maybe a knife and a laser pistol. Not enough to fight, but enough to give false confidence. There's also the arbitrary distinction between recovery and looting. Taking equipment to turn in is recovery. Taking it for personal use is looting, punishable by execution. The line shifts based entirely on the quartermaster's mood. Salvage workers die regularly from theft accusations, even when following orders. Number 2. Void Ship Maintenance Bondsman. Imperial Navy ships need maintenance in the toxic lower decks, and bondsmen handle it knowing the work will probably kill them. Imperial void ships operate for centuries or millennia. They're too valuable to decommission, so the Navy keeps them running through constant maintenance. The upper decks where officers work get regular attention. The lower decks accumulate damage because nobody important gets down there, so repairs aren't priorities. But critical systems still run in the lower decks. Someone has to maintain them, and that's bondsmen, pressed crew conscripted from hive worlds. You're not real Navy, you're expendable labor used for jobs too dangerous for valued personnel. The lower decks are actively trying to kill you. Radiation leaks from ancient plasma reactors, chemical runoff pools in forgotten compartments. The air gets worse the deeper you go, and respirators aren't always provided because you're expendable. Your job involves keeping critical systems running, clearing blockages, repairing piping, checking for hull breaches in sections unvisited for centuries. The equipment is ancient and barely understood, so you're working with basic tools and prayers, hoping the machine's spirits don't kill you. The real horror is what warp exposure does. Ships travel through the warp. Polar fields protect the ship, but the fields are weakest in the lower decks. Generations of exposure cause mutations, physical changes, psychological degradation. The line between loyal crew and something else blurs in the depths. During warp transit, conditions get worse. When the Geller field flickers, things slip through. Shadows move wrong. Equipment behaves strangely. You might be repairing a pipe when something that shouldn't exist comes out of the darkness. Most bondsmen don't survive their first warp transit encounter. Disappearances go uninvestigated. You work until accidents, exposure, or the things in the darkness get you. Number 1. Forge World Menial. Think factory work is tough? Try laboring on planets where the air itself is poison and the tech priests see your flesh as a problem to be corrected. The Imperium fights constant wars, and wars need weapons. Forge worlds are planet-sized factories that produce everything, controlled by the Adeptus Mechanicus, tech priests who worship machines. They use servitors for simple tasks. Servitors are lobotomized humans with cybernetic parts, but servitors can only follow basic programming, so the Mechanicus needs workers for anything requiring judgment. That's where menials come in. You're press-ganged from hive worlds or born on the forge world itself. Either way, you're property now. You haul materials, operate presses, assemble weapon components, maintain ancient machinery, everything too complex for servitors but too menial for actual tech priests. The environment starts killing you immediately. The air is toxic smog mixed with radiation and chemical fumes. Every breath scars your lungs. You're not given proper protection because the Mechanicus views flesh as inherently flawed anyway. Why waste resources on something that's already imperfect? The machinery you work with is thousands of years old, maintained through prayer and ritual rather than preventative maintenance. Accidents happen constantly. When they do, they scrape out what's left and dock your family's rations for cleanup time. Here's the twisted part. The Mechanicus doesn't wait for injury before grafting cybernetics onto you. They view gradual replacement of flesh as a path to purity. So even healthy menials receive crude augmentations. A mechanical arm here, an enhanced organ there. These are cheap parts that ache constantly because pain management is reserved for actual tech priests. You're being improved in ways that make existence progressively more miserable. The environment poisons you regardless, radiation causes tumors, heavy metals accumulate until organs fail. Chemical exposure burns through tissue. You watch yourself deteriorate and the augmentations just keep you functional longer than you'd naturally survive. When you can't finally work anymore, they turn you into a servitor. They cut out the parts of your brain that make you human, install control mechanisms, and now you're the mindless drone you used to work alongside. The part that could object doesn't exist anymore. You just keep working. Well, that's 6 more jobs that make a regular guardsman's life look like a vacation. The 41st millennium has endless ways to suffer, and we've barely scratched the surface. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there's only work, and the work is hell.